Hello and welcome to Idea TV Midday News. I am Cynthia Bassi. We begin with the headlines. Dangote unveils plans for Nigeria's deepest seaport in Ogun State. Meta cracks down on fake accounts. And the United States Embassy honors Nigeria public holiday. Largest human imaging boosts early disease detection. And away from Africa, global markets climb as China meets growth targets. And in health, traditional healers push for regulation and professional training in northeast Nigeria. And lastly, in business, IMF warns Nigeria may lose 0.5% of GDP over VAT rate freeze. And in sports, Yellow Greens set for Pearl of Africa cricket. Now the news in full. Aliko Dangote, President and Chief Executive of Dangote Group, has begun the process of developing what he calls Nigeria's biggest and deepest seaport in Olokola, Ogun State. The move signals a major expansion of his industrial empire and a strategic foray into maritime logistics. In an interview with Bloomberg, Dangote revealed that the necessary paperwork for the project was submitted in late June. The planned Atlantic seaport, located about 100 kilometers from Dangote's refinery and fertilizer complex in Lekki, is expected to boost exports of fertilizer, petrochemicals and liquefied natural gas. It will also improve access to importing heavy equipment and raw materials. Dangote stated that while he doesn't intend to dominate the space, he hopes the project will inspire more private sector investment in Nigeria's underdeveloped port infrastructure. If approved, the new port could revive existing facilities in Lagos, including the China-funded Lekki Deep Sea Port, which began operations in 2023. It also marks Dangote's return to the Olokola site, where earlier plans for his refinery were scrapped due to disputes with local authorities. Those issues now appear to be resolved under the current administration, paving the way for renewed development in the region. Moving on, Meta, the parent company of Facebook, announced yesterday that it removed 500,000 accounts engaged in spam or fake engagement in the first half of 2025. The company says the move is part of a broader effort to clean up the platform and protect original creators. In addition to spam accounts, Meta also took down nearly 10 million fake profiles impersonating popular content producers. According to a blog post, Meta has taken steps to reduce the visibility of spammy behavior, including demoting comments, limiting content reach, and cutting off monetization for offending accounts. The company is also rolling out stricter measures against users who recycle or repost content without permission or significant edits. The accounts will face reduced distribution on Facebook and lose access to monetization tools. Meta says the goal is to highlight authentic voices and give original creators more visibility. Reposting unoriginal material, whether text, images or video, harms the platform by crowding out fresh content. To combat this, Meta is testing tools that can trace duplicated content back to the original post, helping ensure that credit and reach goes to the rightful source. And moving on, the United States Embassy in Abuja and the Consulate General in Lagos will be closed today, July 15, in observance of the national public holiday declared by the Nigerian government in honor of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari. The U.S. mission in Nigeria announced the closure in a statement posted on its official X account yesterday. The statement read all visa appointments slated for July 15, 2025 will be rescheduled. It added that affected applicants will receive updated appointment dates in due course. Consular operations are expected to resume after the holiday. The Nigerian government had declared Tuesday a work-free day to honor Buhari, who died on Sunday, July the 13th of this year at the age of 82 in a London hospital. In other news, the world's largest human imaging project has reached a major milestone after successfully scanning its 100,000 volunteer. The UK-based study, which began over a decade ago, is helping scientists gain unprecedented insights into how the human body changes with age. Starting yesterday, researchers confirmed that detailed MRI, X-ray and ultrascans of brains, hearts and other vital organs have now been completed for 100,000 participants across 4 centers in England. The project, which operates daily for up to 13 hours, provides anonymized data to research teams globally supporting early detection and treatment of common illness, including heart diseases, cancer, and dementia. Volunteers commit to 5-hour scan sessions but do not receive personal results unless a serious health concern is spotted. Personal data remains confidential and unpublished. Scientists say the scale and quality of this imaging data are set to transform medical research and long-term healthcare planning. And away from Africa, markets rallied today following the data showing that China's economy grew 5.2% in the second quarter, in line with expectations. The growth was driven by a surge in exports as businesses rushed shipments ahead of U.S. tariffs and came after Washington and Beijing agreed to pursue a long-term trade pact. Despite the growth being slightly slower than first quarter, upbeat industrial output and export figures, particularly to the U.S., helped lift investor sentiments. Major global indices, including Hong Kong, Tokyo, and London, all posted gains, while Shanghai and Manila saw declines. However, concerns remain over China's domestic consumer activity, which continued to disappoint. Retail sales grew only 4.8% in June, falling short of forecasts. Analysts say efforts to stimulate spending, such as expanded trade-in programs for consumer goods, provided only short-term boosts and were hampered by funding shortfalls in some provinces. Sarah Tan of Moody's Analytics warned the scheme's limited impact shows the need for deeper reforms to address cautious household spending. Meanwhile, trade tensions linger, driven by renewed threats from former U.S. President Donald Trump. He warned of 100% tariffs in countries trading with Russia unless Moscow ends its war in Ukraine within 50 days. Trump also proposed fresh levies on imports from Mexico and the EU. Though analysts believe these are likely negotiation tactics, markets were further buoyed by news that NVIDIA will resume AI chip sales to China after the U.S. eased licensing rules. Wall Street finished strong, with the Nasdaq reaching a new high, though Bitcoin slipped after briefly hitting a record above $122,200. We go on a quick break now. Stay tuned as we bring you more news. Across Nigeria's northeast converged in Gombe State yesterday, calling for sweeping reforms to improve security, credibility and standardization within the sector. The meeting, led by the National Association of Nigerian Traditional Medicine Practitioners, brought together representatives from all 6 states in the region to address the growing need for regulation and accountability in the practice. The association announced new measures to professionalize the sector, including a clampdown on fake certificates and unauthorized practitioners. All official documents must now be issued directly from the National Secretariat to curb impersonation and safeguard public trust. In a move to strengthen the knowledge base of traditional healers, practitioners were urged to pursue formal education and certifications with the College of Traditional Medicine and Acupuncture in Damaturu, named as recommended institution. The association also applauded the Gombe State government's efforts in supporting indigenous health development through the revitalized herbal reservation farm. The gathering closed with a renewed call for unity, education and structured engagement with Nigeria's broader healthcare system, marking a new phase in securing traditional medicine's role in the country's evolving health landscape. And in business, the International Monetary Fund has warned that Nigeria could lose up to 0.5% of its gross domestic product in revenue following the federal government's decision not to increase the value-added tax rates. In its latest Article IV consultation report, the IMF acknowledged recent tax reforms as a positive step, but said keeping VAT unchanged would cause an immediate revenue shortfall, especially at the state and local government levels. The fund supported the government's decision given high poverty and food insecurity, noting that only 5.5 million of 15 million targeted households have received cash transfers. However, it cautioned that the delay could strain already stretched public finances. Without alternative funding, states may have to either cut spending or boost local revenue efforts to make up for lost VAT income. Despite these challenges, the IMF praised the ongoing tax reform drive led by the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy, describing it as critical to reversing Nigeria's low revenue to GDP ratio. It urged the government to outline a medium-term plan with clear timelines for tax policy changes to strengthen investor confidence and fiscal sustainability. Inflation remains high and public debt has climbed to 52.9% of GDP. And lastly, in sports, Nigeria's senior male cricket team, the Yellow Greens, will slug it out with host Uganda, Kenya, Namibia and the United Arab Emirates in the second edition of the Pearl of Africa T20 series, which will be played from July 17 to 27. The tournament is organized by the Ugandan Cricket Association and will feature 5 teams. It's the first tournament the Yellow Greens will feature in 2025, and head coach Steve Tikolo has also unveiled a 14-man team for the tournament. With the crucial 2026 T20 World Cup qualifier ahead, the team has been gearing up at the Tafawa Balewa Square over before departing for Uganda on Monday. Led by Captain Sylvester Okpe, the team features a mix of seasoned talents and exciting new faces. David Ankara and Jim Abdurrahman get their first national call-up. And that is all we have for you on Idea TV Media News. But before we go, here's a recap of the headlines. Dangote unveils plans for Nigeria's deepest seaport in Ogun State. We also brought you news that Meta cracks down on fake accounts. The United States Embassy honors Nigeria's public holiday. We brought you news that largest human imaging boosts early disease detection. And away from Africa, global markets climb as China meets growth targets. And in health, traditional healers push for regulation and professional training in northeast Nigeria. And in business, IMF warns Nigeria may lose 0.5% of GDP over VAT rate freeze. And lastly, in sports, the Yellow Green set for Pearl of Africa cricket. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms at Idea Television. I am Cynthia Bassi. Thank you for watching.